4K Chief Portfolio Manager Prabhudas Leeladhar joins us on this conversation. Ajay, good having you as always. What's your reading of what's going on in Greece and the consequent impact on global markets, both equities and currencies?
Good morning, Harsha. I think whether Greece is going to default on its $1.6 billion loan to IMF should be clear within the next 24 hours. But I think we are given to believe that even if they were not to pay, technically I think it would be considered not a default but an arrear, and all eyes will then sort of shift to the stance that is taken by the German government, which is the prime mover behind the European stance. And I think today the German Chancellor has asked for all political parties in Germany to come to Berlin for consultation. And on Wednesday, I think the Bundestag is going to discuss this issue in detail. And all this sort of in the run-up to what happens on Sunday, and whether the Greek people do agree to the bailout terms that have been offered by the Troika. So I think we are in for some very exciting times ahead. Now, insofar as the final denouement is concerned, I believe that the stakes are far too high for the Eurozone to allow Greece, to eject Greece, even if they were to adopt a recalcitrant stance. And because the reason for this is both geopolitical and economic. On the economic side, obviously, what is the spillover effect of this crisis on the peripheral countries, and whether the signal that would go out if Greece were to be ejected, the impact on the borrowing costs of countries like Spain, Portugal, Italy, which have far larger economies and which could in turn destabilize the entire Euro project, is something that the Eurozone members would be very closely watching. So the contagion effect is what the markets are worried about.
Yep.
However, I think we saw yesterday that the increase in yields in the peripheral countries was not too much. And the second, a more important reason is the geopolitical reason. I think the fact that Russia has been at kind of war with the NATO and the West, getting concerned about the eastward expansion of NATO. And at this juncture, the signal that would go out to those countries which are on the periphery of Russia and which want to align with the West and NATO, allowing Greece to move out, is something which the US and its NATO allies would be extremely concerned about. So I think from that perspective, I don't think that the situation could spiral out of control.
Okay, two questions, Ajay. What does all of this then mean for prices on the screen? Because even the euro, hasn't moved dramatically. There has been weakness, all right, but the euro has not moved dramatically against the dollar. Are you saying that we have to brace ourselves for more volatility? Are you seeing more weakness coming in? Do you expect capital outflows to happen? What does that mean?
Yeah, I think if you just compare, Harsha, today's situation just before the second bailout, I think what has dramatically changed is the constitution of the total debt. I think today also the debt in absolute number is far higher at around $312 billion that Greece owes to its creditors. But there's a qualitative difference, and only $30 billion or $32 billion of that debt sits today on the books of private sector entities, banks and other financial institutions, whereas the remaining debt is currently sitting on the books of various ECB, the European Stability Fund, and other Greek and other governments in Europe. So I think the panic that would have that one saw in the run-up to the second bailout was essentially because of fears that should one of the large financial banks or financial institutions fail, the ripple effect and the contagion that could have, people worried about a Lehman-like moment. But clearly, I think by ring-fencing the total debt away from private sector and on the books of various either central bank or government entities, I think the ECB and the European Union have done a very good task in terms of containing the ripple effects. And hence, as you said, I think we did not see the volatility anywhere close to what we saw in the run-up to the first bailout, the second bailout.
Okay, we are also back home. We are also seeing the equity markets, witness capital outflows. You're consistently through the month of June, FIIs have been net sellers. how do you see this playing out? Do you expect capital to come back? What are the triggers that will define the direction of this market?
Okay. I think globally, I think there are two main concerns that were weighing on this market, other than Brexit. The first was what is the stance that the US Fed would take and whether the interest rate increases in US would happen before September. The dovish statement from US Fed has put paid to that. We have seen US economy degrowing by 0.2% in the first quarter. And now I think the earliest that one expects interest rates to increase in US is only by December, and even that will be a token one increase of around 0.25 basis points, and there could be a prolonged pause after that. The second concern was the money moving out of India and other emerging markets which had performed very well in last calendar year into China, which had given an astounding 150% return in last calendar year.
Right.
But at the peak, 2 weeks back, the Chinese PE was around 80 at Shenzhen. And I'm told that 4 million retail accounts were opened in last 1 month. This is as per The Economist. So I think that we have seen a panic sort of now happening in the Chinese equity markets, because it was the qualitative difference between Indian rally and Chinese rally. Indian rally was fueled by institutional money, FI and domestic. The Chinese rally has been primarily fueled by credit-fueled retail money, and which sort of that's why we are seeing the panic in the China. So from that perspective, again, money is coming back in India. Domestically, most importantly, two factors were weighing on us. One, the IMD's disastrous forecast for IMD. From 1st of June, I have the numbers till date, it is till 29th of June. The monsoons have been 18% in excess of the long period average.
Sure.
And although IMD is still saying that in July it will be 8% deficient and in August it will be 10% deficient,
Sure.
the private forecaster SkyMet, which always was saying it will be a normal monsoon, has said that in July the monsoon will be 104% of LPA, in August it will be 99% of LPA, which is normal, and in September it will be 96% of LPA.
Okay.
And if I also were to look at the data on the crop sowing, we are seeing that 23.4% improvement in the area under sowing is seen totally from 1st of June till date.
Okay. Ajay, I'm running out of time. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. I'd love to continue this conversation. Ajay Bodke from Prabhudas Lilladher talking about the market's impact of the Greek situation on India. Coming up.